So this will be the second one for the Pride Month couples from comics. This video is going to be about uh, Caroline, Dean, and Xavian. And these are two characters that are from the comic book series called The Runaways that are from Marvel, hence why there's a Marvel thing over here and a couple of different Runaways comics. You can't quite tell that they're Runaway, but they're Runaways. And the comic book series, I think, came out at least 10 years ago, if not longer than that. I don't 100% know if it's still going. I know that they did a TV adaptation for it, or a live action adaptation for it. I think it was on Hulu, and I think it's on Disney Plus, and I will end up watching it. I just haven't yet, but I have read the comics. It's been a little while, but I have read the comics. So first one of the couple is Caroline. Caroline Dean, and she is actually an alien. Doesn't know she's an alien for the first however many years of her life, but she's an alien. So, for those of you who may not be familiar with Runaways, the concept of Runaways is that I think there's 6 kids, and their parents are all villains. Yeah, their parents are all super villains. One of them's parents are evil mutants, one of them's are aliens, one of them are like a mafia boss, one of them are time travelers, one of them are like scientists. There's another one that I don't remember what that they are, but there's like their parents are all like evil, horrid people that are called part of the Pride, as in like a Pride of Lions type thing or something along those lines. It's not like in like Pride Month. So there's a big difference there. Different types of pride. These are very evil ones. Very evil parents, and they find out that their parents are supervillains, and they all run away. They all run away together. Caroline, whichever one you want to perform it, pronounce it as, is kind of the alien of the group. She is a race of creatures that are called, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, Majestanian. Majestianian. And she is a alien, and she finds this out because she has this bracelet that she always wears, and apparently all of her people have this type of bracelet that they get it at a certain age. And what she does is she rips it off because her parents mentioned something about the bracelet, and she rips it off, and then she turns into this being of light and rainbow, and she's very pretty, and I very much enjoy her coloring. And she kind of takes on like the I think if I remember correctly, she takes on the code name of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So she kind of takes on that one because it's a reference to the Beatles song, and she likes the song, so she went with that. And like several of the other ones are her, the 6 of them are friends, and they have problems that they deal with. That she is her race is a race of solar powered aliens. So yeah, kind of like Superman. She can fly. She can. I don't think she's intangible in her light form, or if she can become intangible. I don't think so, because we see her still wearing clothes, because her clothes still stay on when she's in this state. She just has the ability to zip around extremely fast and fly, and I think she can produce some form of laser, if I remember correctly. But so she has that power, and at one point in the story, I don't think it's very far into the story, either like maybe volume 2 or 3, I think, they come across a Skrall. And the Skrall, whose name is Xavin, says that between Caroline's people and his people, they are supposed to marry to end this war that's going on between them. So a little bit like Romeo and Juliet, except, reasons. And it's like, if you want to end the frickin' war between your races, and you're just going to do it because someone marries someone else, then you don't have a good enough reason to end the war. And you should just frickin' end the war anyway. If you need that type of reason to end the war, then just end the war. But what ends up happening is Xavian shows up, and they are actually in a male form. If you know anything about Skrulls, which if you've seen Captain Marvel, the Captain Marvel movie, or if you've seen Spider-Man Far From Home, like the end credit scene for that, or if you've watched WandaVision, you see Skrulls in each of those cases. They are a race of shape-shifting aliens. Um, and they can shapeshift into someone, and then they can have like that person's kind of most recent memory. So they have a basic idea of like who the person is, what their position is, how they talk, and that type of stuff. How they act, things like that. They can't go extremely deep, like as is mentioned in Captain Marvel. They can't really do details. They can't go back to like, oh, this specific moment in your life and like remember this tiny detail type of a thing. Um, or remember something that's like extremely buried in your subconscious or something like that. But what ends up happening is Xavin explains this that there's supposed to be this wedding between the two of us, and it'll end the war between our people. And Caroline's looking at him, and she's Karolina, sorry, Karolina. Whatever point I end up watching the series, I'm going to be like, oh, that's how you pronounce it. Well, I'm an idiot. Karolina. She actually looks Xavin over, and like Xavin looks very nice. He like based his appearance off of what he supposedly understood of like what human females found attractive, and he kind of based his appearance off of that. And what ends up happening is Karolina is just like, well, I'm very flattered to meet you, and I would like to get to know you, but I like girls. And Xavin just stands up. Oh, well, that's fine, and then just like shifts into a female version of this. And if I remember correctly, Karolina is just like, like, okay, yeah, I can deal with this now. And like we see the relationship develop over the course of the comics. And so they interact quite a bit. They do fall in love. Xavin is very protective of Karolina. She now that she changes, or they, I guess, is very gets along quite well with their friends. He's very protective of them. Xavin is very protective of the rest of the Runaways and any of the other kids that kind of come into their radar that they kind of keep an eye on, which is very nice in regards to that. It's very Xavin makes their way into the family quite well. At one point, the kids do end up defeating their supervillain parents, which is a good thing. They also time travel at one point because reasons, and they find out that one of them is a traitor, and then lots of other things happen, and I don't know how much 100% the live action series that they did for Disney it was Hulu and now it's on Disney Plus. I don't know how much they stuck to the actual story with that. I may start watching it soon and just kind of see what I think of it. I think I'm gonna like it from the little bit that I've seen. They seem to stick to the main basics of the main core of the characters. I mean, it's like I don't mind if they're going to shift some things around in regards to that, but I hope that they're still going to keep that part of Karolina. I don't know if they're going to bring in Xavin or not. That would depend on how much they were allowed for Marvel to be able to do that in regards to bringing the Skrulls in that matter. Because I think they were, I think the series aired before anything happened with Captain Marvel. So they may not have been able to bring in Xavin. But, throughout the course of the series, they do fall in love and everything. And at one point, Xavin takes her into space. And they go on like this intergalactic road trip. And Karolina ends up in this beautiful dress. Like in her, glowy form and everything. And I think at some point she learns to control between when she shifts without having to have the bracelet on all the time. Between when she shifts between her like human looking form and her light glowy form. And what ends up happening is they do fall in love, and they get very comfortable with each other. They are ready to get married and everything. And what ends up happening is Karolina's parents are actually war criminals from their planet. And Karolina is actually, at one point, their people show up, and the Majestanians, whatever they're called, show up, and they're going to put Karolina on trial for her parents' crimes, even though she's not the one that does it. And what happens is Xavin shapeshifts into Karolina, and they do a switch, and then Xavin goes off to be their captive and to go and be tried. And I have no idea if Xavin shows back up in the comics or not. It's been a long time since I've read Runaways. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, the last bit that we see is Xavin on the ship as Karolina, and like his the arm shifts back into Xavin as he waves at Earth as they leave Earth. And yeah, I'd say that's love. I'd say that very much applies to Xavin, proving that they did very much love Karolina. That is, however, not the end of Karolina's love story. She does end up getting into a relationship with another one of the runaways, Nico Minoru, who is she is kind of a witch type character. She has this staff that she can make appear whenever she draws blood. So I guess Titan rules of, I'm gonna go fight, slice, staff. And then she can, use magic with the staff, and she gets better with it over time. But the two of them end up together. And I do think I have seen some stills from the series, from the live action series that they did, that do show the two of them together, which makes me very happy, because at least maintain that part of that relationship between the two of them. Nico was very supportive of Karolina in regards to being with Xavin, and the rest of the runaways were very sad when Xavin left, not only because Xavin basically sacrificed themselves to allow Karolina to remain free for, instead of being punished for what her parents did. Xavin was also a member of the family, a friend of theirs that they didn't want to see leave. And as I said, I don't know if Xavin ever shows back up or not. And if he does, I don't know where that's going to fall with him in regards to being around Nico. And, I would assume Xavin would be happy that Karolina still found someone else that she could be in love with. But, Xavin is probably still in love with her. But, maybe they can each find happiness in their own way. Or, well, I don't know if I'd go quite that far, that maybe we'll get Marvel's first triad relationship. Hey, I'm fine with that. If they do that, that's fine by me. That's entirely up to them. Although being in a relationship with a Skrall, depending on what they can shapeshift, would be quite interesting. Yeah, go put your mind in the gutter, that's fine. But, Karolina and Xavin, I very much like them together. I do like Karolina and Nico. I do remember reading far enough into the comics that they were kind of a couple at that point in time. Because, the beginning of the series takes place in California, and then they end up, after they kind of defeat their parents, then they go to New York. And they kind of use the fact of what their parents were as the pride, because they're a very influential group of supervillains. So they were in league with the Kingpin from Spider-Man and different things like that, different villains like that. And they tried to use those strings, since they'd been able to find all this information about their parents' network, and they were able to use this as a way to try to find more information and try to gain some allies. They are good. The kids are good. And at one point they interact with the Avengers. I was about to say Justice League, but that's wrong. At one point they do interact with the Avengers, and at one point also there's a girl in the series that is a mutant, and she is this little tiny girl, and Wolverine shows up at one point, and she flips him, and it's so funny. And because part of what happened in the Runaways also happened during after House of M for Avengers. There's Avengers House of M, where Wanda, Scarlet Witch, kind of on a more massive scale than what was shown in WandaVision, where she recreates the entire world the way she wants it to be, with so many mutants and everything, in order to make Magneto happy. We you know, and then when she reverses that, she's like, no more mutants, and it's like everybody, so many different mutant powers, like 90 some percent of all the mutant powers that were originally supposed to be there are gone now. And the girl's power is not the girl's power. I do not remember what her name is off the top of my head, but she's adorable and she has attitude. And she at one point, like, Wolverine ends up interacting with her, like, after what happens with House of M, and he's like, of all the mutants that had to keep their powers, she had to be one of them. It's just funny. You have a lot of those with the Runaways. They're very funny. I do very much, and I enjoyed reading them. I may end up rereading it at some point. As I said, I'm gonna look into actually watching the series. That might be something I watch with one of my parents. We'll see, or I might just watch it on my own. We'll see what happens with that. So I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye.
Gert was right. I was the perfect church girl. I never did anything disobedient or different or what I wanted. But now that I know I'm like a total freak, maybe I'm free to be who I really am, and to be honest about who I want to be with.